Hey nerd family, and welcome back to another video. Today we're just doing a somewhat unofficial review of the Google Pixel 6 Pro. But before we get into that, I'm going to go ahead and roll the intro and I'll see you back here in a second. Alright guys, welcome back. I hope everyone out there is staying safe and staying healthy. If you haven't already checked out thenerdcircle.com, make sure to head over there and check it out. Also make sure you're following along on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Real Nerd Circle. Sometimes we make some posts over there when we're not quite timed to make a video just yet, so if you don't want to miss out, make sure to head over there. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure to go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss when the new videos come out. And if you do like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It definitely helps us out. It lets YouTube know who likes the videos and who to recommend them to next. Alright guys, now why I said that I was doing a somewhat unofficial review is that time's just been ticking on, and I know that I need to make a review for this phone, as I had mentioned in the previous video. But to be honest, I haven't really put it through all of its full paces and tests just yet, but I do want to kind of let you guys know my thoughts and feelings on it, and we can make some future reviews going forward. So this may or may not have all the questions answered for you, but hopefully it does give you enough information to know if you should purchase the phone or not. And if you guys do want to see some more deep dives going into some future reviews, let me know down below certain things you'd like to see, and I might make some smaller videos referencing certain features and things that this phone can do. But without further ado, today we're just going to go over a few things here. Now, I purchased the 256 gig model of the Google Pixel 6 Pro, just for those of you that want to know. And I do like the fact that they do have the different size variations this time around. And that's really more of a personal preference for me, but the 128, I did kind of grow out of that because I do have a lot of stuff stored on my device. So to have the 256 gig or the option for 512 was definitely something that I was needing for a long time coming. So I'm glad that they have the different variations, although for most of you 128 gigs is probably going to be enough, but when you make videos and things like that and you test a lot of apps, the 256 gig was kind of the sweet spot for me. I did want to, and I kind of thought about going with 512 to kind of future-proof myself, but I wasn't really sure how long I was going to keep this phone for. It wasn't really worth the extra $100 when I really didn't need the space. So I went with the 256, and now I've only had the phone for, what, 2 months or so. But the 256 gig, I think, is going to be plenty for me, especially if I might be upgrading to whatever their next model is coming out. So, is the phone worth it for you? Well, it is a decent phone. It really kind of depends what you're looking to get out of the phone. I haven't had any issues with it, whereas I was starting to get some of those issues with my previous phone. Both my wife and I had previous Pixels, but mine was a little bit older than hers was. I think she had the 3XL and I was working with the 2XL, so mine was really time to upgrade. I was just waiting. I was going to get the 5, and then I just procrastinated. When I started hearing things of how the 6 was going to have their own dedicated chip built for the device, I decided to hold off, and now here we are with the 6. So anything was going to be better than what I had, but I still say that if you're in the market for a quote-unquote flagship device, something that's going to get the job done without breaking the bank, then the Pixel 6 Pro is going to do it for you. And if you don't quite need some of the extra additives of the Pro, you could go with the Google Pixel 6 and really save some more money. But for me, the Pro is really where it was at. It was worth the extra money for me. It does have an amazing camera, just like all the other Pixels in the past have had. I do think it runs quite well. I haven't had any issues with apps running slowly or forced closing or anything like that I've had some issues with my previous device, but I'm also basing that on that device has been used for a while and I really put it through its paces, so I really can't judge it based on that. But processor speed wise, I will say that it runs things pretty well. Again, I have to test things a bit further and really jump into more games and do a lot more things that it really require of the CPU and GPU, and having that massive amount of RAM. I haven't really done too many tests in that nature yet, but just my average daily usage, kind of switching back and forth between apps, leaving things running, going and doing a bunch of things, recording videos and whatnot, it seems to do things just fine. I don't really have any issues in that department. As far as the battery life, it seems to hold its own. It lasts pretty much all day for me. There may be a few days that I'm really heavily using it, that towards the end of the night it is draining down, but if I plug it in, whether it be wired or wireless, either way, when I plug it in for a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm getting between 30 to 50% battery life in that time frame. So even if I am heavily using it and say it only makes me half the day, I just got to take a few minutes to charge it up and I'm going to get a decent amount of battery life. So the battery really isn't a huge concern for me. I think it works quite well, and it's going to work pretty well for most people. There have been a few flaws and a few downsides. I think the biggest thing, and it's really more of an issue for my wife, I'm kind of okay with it, but with the in-screen fingerprint, it doesn't always work the best. Now, I know it's the first time they've done it, and they maybe didn't go the best route, and I'm hoping that they can fix some of the bugs with some software updates in the future, but I think that they have a little bit of work to do there, but it's not horrible. For those of you that haven't used it, the fingerprint sensor sometimes just doesn't always work. You have to hold your finger down a little harder, or you have to press it a couple times. If you have a little cut on your finger, or I had like some skin peeling, or if you get something on your finger that's going to ruin your fingerprint, if you get like some ink or something there, it's not going to read it properly. I do have multiple fingers set up, and sometimes I got to play the game of choosing a few different fingers to try to get it to work, and after 4 or 5 attempts, it then tells you to type your code in. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen more frequently than not, and it kind of is a little bit annoying. So I do think that if they can fix that with some software updates, or I guess in a future iteration of the phone, but also I think they're looking at doing this, but if they put in facial recognition and the fingerprint, then you kind of have the best of both worlds there. I think that would be a little bit better, but it doesn't work as good as some of the other fingerprint sensors that are out there, but it doesn't work horrible either. So just kind of keep that as in the back of your mind as a little caveat, that you just have to know that if you're really buying this because of the in-screen fingerprint, I may hold off on it for right now until they make some improvements, but it's not a deal killer. It works, and I think I do like it. Although I got used to the fingerprint sensor on the back on the previous Pixels, I really didn't like it. I just got used to it. I like having it on the front a lot better, and not having to have a physical button or everything in the way there. So I do like it. It's just a little cumbersome at times. I did mention the camera is great, but I have had a few weird flaws and downfalls with the camera, and some of it that they tell you about is really gimmicky. I'm probably not going to remember every little point right now, so we'll have to discuss it in a future review. If there's something in specific you guys are looking for in regards to the camera or anything, leave it in the comments down below so I can make sure to put it in a future video. But as far as the camera goes, you do have some of those cool options they talk about, like the face unblur, and it works. We took a few like holiday pictures, and it gives you the option to kind of select between a few shots. It does almost like a burst shot, and then you can choose between which one you want as far as if you got the good shot or whatever. But where it kind of falls short is, as an example, we took some photo shots where we had 3 of us in the photo, and it would have us choose between this one. I think there was like 3 different shots you could choose from. Well, what happened is you have one person that's looking in one shot, and in the next shot another person's not looking, so you have to choose between shot 1, one person looking and the other one not, shot 2, the other person not looking and the other one look, and it didn't really give you what I thought it was going to give you, where it made it seem like it's going to take multiple shots of the individuals, and you can just kind of swap the faces. And that's not really what it does. It might do that in the back end, but it's not really what it does, and it really didn't make things that much better. We still had to take multiple photos ourselves to make sure we got the shot we wanted, so it's kind of gimmicky, to be honest with you. Maybe they can make some improvements on that in some software updates going forward, but as of right now, I wouldn't buy it for just that. Now, the other thing that's been unfortunately pretty gimmicky, I was kind of excited about it in the beginning, it just hasn't worked really well. I don't have any examples to show you guys because Everything we've tested it with so far has been kind of personal family photos, so I'll have to get some other things to test it with to show you guys. The magic eraser where you can erase people from the background, I tried it a few different ways and it just never really worked that well. It's a nifty feature to have if you need it, but it just doesn't work that well. And what I mean is, it basically takes the person out of the background by smudging the background colors and layers together. So if you have a nice background and you have someone who's walking through that background, or multiple people walking through that background, it gives you the ability to erase those people, but then it kind of smudges everything in the background together, and it just doesn't look that good. And if you're a photo editor, you're definitely going to know it's not good. If you've got a good eye for photo, you can tell. Now, there's been a couple times that, we did it and we were like, okay, it might look all right. And I'm sure that we notice it because we see the before and after. And we probably could have gotten away with a few of them. But most of the time, it really didn't look good. It just did not do a good job at all. Again, I think, maybe some improvements on the software might do a little bit better, but I wouldn't really expect this to be that great of a feature because it really takes a lot to kind of, remove stuff from the background of photos and things like that, and just smudging it together, which is a way to do it under Photoshop. I think when you Photoshop it, it looks way better than what this is making it look. So they may be able to improve it in the future, but again, I wouldn't buy this for the Magic Eraser because it just doesn't do it justice. Now, I'm a little let down because I really have loved the Pixel cameras over the few iterations of the Pixel phones that I've had, and I thought this was going to be better. It's not bad. It's still a good camera. It still takes good photos. Everything about it is great, but it doesn't seem like they improved on it. They threw all these extra features that really are kind of half-assed and don't really work that well. I still like the fact that I can kind of go in and fine-tune some of my photos after the fact. I like to, colorize and blur, things like that I can do after the fact, and it works pretty well. And Google does have a lot of great features where they suggest some edits to you and things like that. But it's just, I don't know, it fell a bit short. When you compare it to, taking photos over with an iPhone, I feel like the iPhone is, at least on the newer versions, taking better photos than the Pixel. And you've had people fighting about the cameras in these phones for the past couple of years, and Pixel's been winning and winning and winning. Now I feel like they're kind of on the same level. They didn't really improve that much. They just threw a lot of extra features on top, and that kind of disappoints me. Especially with them building their own chip now, I think that they could have done better with the camera. But again, don't get me wrong, it's still a great camera. It's still a great phone, especially at the price point. Depending on which one you choose, it's not going to break the bank. It's still going to be a good phone. Just don't go into it knowing that it's got all these great features, because you're going to probably be a little let down, to be honest with you. I'm sure there's other camera features that I could probably discuss. The only other thing that comes to mind that I'm really surprised this happened and I was really let down, my old phone had an issue. I used to record, for those of you that have been following me for a while, I used to record my videos on that phone before I got this camera here. And what started happening is the phone would overheat. I'd be maybe 5 or 10 minutes into a video and I'm recording, in a cooled room, 68 degrees, whatever it might be. And the phone would just overheat. It would stop filming. It would shut down. Sometimes it would cut the video at a weird point where it would lose audio, and it just created a lot of issues. I had to keep refilming videos, and then when I tried to edit them, it was a mess. So I stopped filming my videos with that phone for that reason. Well, I get this new phone. Everything's great. I mean, it can record 4K on the front camera. I mean, that's cool. If I'm just out somewhere and I want to record something and I don't want to flip it around or anything like that, I can just set it up, see myself, know I'm in frame, record in 4K. That's all great and that's fine. But here's where my issue came into play. I'm filming a video for the holidays with my family, and it's in the house, it's ventilated, so I'm not out in the heat or the sun, it's not cold, anything like that. I'm recording, I think it was almost a 10-minute video. I had the flash on just because I didn't want to set up all my lights and I wanted good lighting. And it told me that the phone was overheating and that it had to turn the flash off. And what it would do is it would turn the flash off. A minute or two later, the flash would come back on. A minute or two later, flash would go off. It would say it's turning the flash off because it's overheating. And it would do this for a few minutes back and forth, back and forth. So it became annoying, especially with a brand new phone that has all this powerhouse stuff packed into it, that I couldn't record a 10-minute video that really, I don't think it was that elaborate. I wasn't, like I said, out in the heat or anything. I wasn't really expecting to have it do too much for me. I just wanted to record a video, and it couldn't do that. And that really let me down. I haven't really tested it any further since that incident had happened, but it puts a bad taste in my mouth for a flagship phone that is what it is, that it struggles to take a video. It really puts a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't know if that's something that they're going to be able to fix with a software update. I mean, that might just be the hardware, but I don't like that. I don't like that if I decide to shoot video with this in the Ford, I can't rely on it. I don't like that idea, but it is what it is. I don't think I'm really going to be shooting too many videos with my phone, but I do a lot of videos for family stuff and whatnot, so I don't have to take this camera out, set it up, and everything else. I like to shoot stuff for my family on my phone, and apparently I can only shoot 5-minute videos before it overheats. So bear that in mind. If you are getting this phone strictly because of the camera and you want to be able to take some long videos and not have, this whole lighting and everything set up, just keep that in mind. And lastly, as it just kind of popped into my mind here, I was filming a video, and I'm going to have to get you guys some footage of all this here, because this, again, was family stuff, but I was filming a video in a very low light situation. It was a Christmas parade, and to me, when I was filming it, it looked a bit dark, and I just thought, okay, well, it's dark out. It must not be getting a whole lot of light for it to see. It is what it is. But I'm watching these people that are around me. I don't know exactly what phones everyone has. I know one person had an iPhone. I don't know which model it was, and a couple other people had some other phones. And I'm looking at their screens as they're filming, and it almost looks like daylight, and mine looks really, really dark. And I looked after the fact to see if there was any type of low light settings I can adjust. There wasn't, and I'm just really let down. I mean, the video came out okay. It wasn't horrible, but it definitely could have been brighter. I saw phones out there that were brighter, and it just didn't do very well in a low light situation. Now, the one thing I will say is I did switch back and forth a couple times to the ultra wide camera, which had really bad low light. And then I would go to like the next camera in line, or I think it was just the 1X, and the low light would get it better. It got a little bit brighter than it did on the ultra wide, which makes sense, but it still wasn't that great. So I probably will not be using it to shoot anything low light in the future unless I have no choice, because it just didn't do that well. I will try to get you guys, some footage of this. I'll try to shoot some things around the house at night and just kind of see how it goes, and kind of compare the ultra wide and the regular. But again, camera is kind of a letdown. So just bear that in mind if you do purchase this phone. And I'm a huge Pixel fan. I love Pixels. I will probably continue to own Pixels for a while, because I know that at least right now they are focused on driving the prices down, but still giving you a good device for that price. And all in all, it's a really good phone and a really good device, but there are a few shortcomings. And maybe those shortcomings are what it's going to be to get that price to go down. So maybe that's just what it's going to be, and it is what it is, but time's going to tell if some of these things can be fixed with software updates, or if it's going to actually be new hardware. Since it is their first phone with their own silicon chip, I do think that they're probably going to have a newer model out sooner rather than later. Maybe within the year they may have a version 2 or whatever it might be. I may or may not jump on that. I think as I get some more testing down in this device and see, what updates come, they are putting some updates and feature updates and stuff every month or so here. So maybe there'll be some fixes to come, and maybe it'll be okay. But I may be looking to go for the next generation after they've kind of messed with their own chip a little bit to see, what they can do better. But time will definitely tell, so if you kind of want to see how this story unfolds, of course, make sure to keep an eye on social media, as well as make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can get any new videos that come out. But I think that's really all I got for you guys as far as the review of the Pixel 6 Pro. There will be more review videos to come. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I think I'd like to kind of split them up and kind of segment them so it's not one huge long video. So let me know in the comments down below the certain topics you'd like me to get into. If you want me to break down the camera stuff a bit more, or break down other things, just let me know down below what topics and stuff you want me to cover, and we'll get some other review videos out, and we'll kind of segment it into different videos to make it shorter so you don't have to watch one long video. But hopefully I told you guys enough to know if it's something you want to sink your money into or not at the moment. There will definitely be more Pixel stuff to come. I am working on a future video to go over Pixel Pass. If you guys are interested in looking into Pixel Pass, make sure to keep an eye out for the future video. But I do hope you guys got something out of this video here today. If there's anything I forgot to mention, I'll leave it in the description down below. If there's anything you noticed that I forgot to mention, leave it in the comments down below. If you guys did enjoy this video as much as I enjoyed making it, please give it a big thumbs up. It definitely helps us out. It lets YouTube know who likes the videos and who to recommend them to next. If you guys haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Don't forget to ring that bell so you get notified of any new videos to come out. You can also follow the links on the screen to the older videos. Make sure to share this video across any social media platform that you like. And until next time, guys, stay nerdy.